Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Left-Handed Leftist podcast. We have an amazing show for you today. Today, we're going to be talking about what really happens when people file false accusations against people. We're going to be talking about the court commissioner system. We're going to be talking about legal justice and also a really crucial question about what in society do we define as victims. Joining us for this really insightful and thought-provoking conversation is Dawn Dalton, Taylor Hawkins, and also Lupe Hawkins. They are advocates, organizers, activists. They are all a part and founders of the Just Us initiative. So please, you all, remember, this is a podcast. So like, share, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, do all the things that you can so that we can spread our message as big as possible, but also hit that notifications button so that you can get notified every time we drop a new episode. And with that, let's get the episode started, y'all.
Okay.
What's up, you all? First of all, I do want to say just Lupe, Dawn, Taylor, thank you all so much for being here. So good to see you all again. I've seen y'all at legislative hearings, stuff for the past few years. So how are y'all doing today?
Doing well.
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Of
Yeah,
course.
doing great. Thank you for having us.
Of course. And I know this is going to be a really heavy and in-depth conversation. So I just want to kind of frame the conversation for a lot of our viewers, definitely talking about the legislation you all are putting up. HB 336, the Criminal Procedures, District Court Commissioners, and False Statements. So with that legislation, actually, Dawn, can you kind of kick us off to talk about what is the legislation, especially as you all are not just the organizers around the bill, but the originators of this bill as well?
Well, thank you again, Carlos, for having us. So HB 336 is actually a bill which simply holds the commissioner's office, the state's attorney's office, and law enforcement and individuals that feel very, very comfortable filing false charges and making false statements with malicious intent accountable. And so with this particular bill, we have, first of all, we come from a space where my son was victimized by the criminal justice system for nearly 5 years. And one of the things that shocked us as we navigated through the system was how easy it was for an individual to go to a commissioner's office, file any type of claim that they wanted, and a warrant or a summons was issued instantly. No investigation, no criteria. This person now has been thrust into the criminal justice system. So with HB 336, we're trying to put guardrails in place, protect the integrity of that process, and simply say if an individual goes to the commissioner's office and they file a charge at the commissioner's office, or they go there with the intent of making an accusation, right? Instead of a commissioner, whom I must add has no training, right? Especially not in law enforcement. The only requirement is that they have a bachelor's degree in any field, right? Yes. So that individual then has to take this complaint and they have to file either a summons or a warrant based on what the individual said. And then once they file that person is thrust into the system. We're simply asking for guardrails. We're asking for the commissioner at that point to take that complaint and forward that complaint immediately to the state's attorney's office. And the state's attorney then has 72 hours to do a preliminary investigation and determine whether or not these accusations have teeth, whether they are legitimate enough for this to move further. And then the state's attorney will then make a recommendation to the commissioner as to whether this needs to go away, be dropped, or it needs to become a summons, or it needs to become a warrant. And then the situation continues from there.
Wow.
Oh, let me say one more piece, though.
Please do.
The other piece is if an individual is then found to have filed false statements and made false charges with malicious intent, now there is a actual penalty put on the individual. So now they face charges because that is actually a criminal act. And we're enforcing it now.
Wow. And before we even get into the situation that you're talking about that happened with Lupe here, it's shocking to hear that these court commissioners don't have to have any legal background. They do not have to have been a lawyer before or even passed the bar or even a paralegal at this point. So you're telling me that somebody who has a bachelor's in like computer science, they can be a court commissioner and they're the ones signing warrants to say, oh yeah, this person should get a warrant for their arrest. That
Absolutely.
is wild. That's
Those are
And
the
the
same.
commissioner that testified on our bill yesterday actually stated that if they put information within the four borders of the document, they have to pursue it. Exact words.
Effectively what that means is, and this is no disrespect to someone who might have like an English major for a background, right? You could be an English major and be qualified to write creative literature and analyze creative literature, but have no legal foundation for your actual career. And you would be required to then pursue charges with your English background, pursue legal charges with an English background.
All day, every day, and they impact lives in that way. Yes.
wow. And so that's gonna hold with me and the viewers for like a while too, because that's wild because you hear so much time like when people talk about warrants, they talk about, oh, a judge has signed off on someone who has some type of legal experience or the state's attorney's office. Or so in the current process, are they like totally hands off when it comes to the state's attorneys, when it comes to even the police officers having to look over it to make sure there's any verification? Or is it just it's down to a court commissioner and just some person who got hired that day?
Court commissioner.
As of right now, it's to the court commissioner.
Yes.
Someone can walk literally to the commissioner's office and literally say the right thing on paper, and that person that they're talking about, that they're putting charges on or making this false report on, is going to jail.
And there's no
9
proof.
times out of 10.
And they do not have to
No
show any
proof.
type of proof. Wow.
You don't even have to show an ID.
That's right.
What?
That's right.
Wow. So okay. So with that, let's kind of go into, I guess, what happened. And going to you, Lupe, can you kind of tell the audience, the viewers, what happened to you that kind of led to this legislation being proposed?
Well, in 2012, I was dealing with someone that I tried to get away from. At the time, I wasn't even necessarily trying to get away from at the time. She tried to start a physical altercation with me one day, and I called the police. When I called the police came to the residence. And when they came there, they asked me, because they seen scratches on me, did I want her arrested? I told her no. When I told them no, they arrested me.
What?
They arrested me, plain and simple. So in turn, they arrested me, and from that point on, it just kept leading to her whenever, like, she would call my phone, I wouldn't answer the phone. She would walk in the commissioner's office and press charges and say that I did something to her. To the point where I believe it ended up being almost 20, 22, 23 charges in Maryland of her just blatantly just walking in the commissioner's office and just stating for 5.5 years, that's what she kept doing. Every time, like, I wouldn't answer the phone, she'd go press charges on me. And so it got to the point where she was putting crazy charges, breaking and entering, or like coming to her house trying to kick her door down, stuff like that. When I'm on a GPS, I'm on a GPS in PG County, 2 GPSs as a matter of fact. In PG County in Upper Marlboro, I'm getting charged for something that's happened in Gaithersburg.
Wait, hold up. So wait, hold up. Taking a pause there. Was the monitoring associated with all of the charges that she would file again? Wow. Yeah. So you were actually like going through the court system. This wasn't something that, she was filing them and then a judge would determine, okay, this has no like validity to it, and then it's just dismissed. You were actually having to like go through the process.
Yes.
Wow.
And so they were pretty much enabling her, because they let her know that, first off, they were dragging my court dates out. So I would get arrested and go to court in 3 months. For her not to show up and them not dismiss the case, but postpone that case and keep me on home confinement for another 3 to 6 months for me to go to court and them do it again. So that's a year. And then she kept filing charges, and all these charges just kept building up on me. And I couldn't, you know what I mean? I couldn't do anything because my record is now messed up, but I have a commissioner basically putting out a warrant for my arrest when another jurisdiction knows that none of this ever happened. So Montgomery County will come to PG County and lock me up when PG County wouldn't allow this woman to put a warrant out on me.
Can I give a quick example? I don't want to interject. Can I give a very quick example? A very quick example at a forensic level of what my brother is talking about is in Montgomery County. We were in court and he was alleging, while there was a order of protection, please jump in if anything that I say is incorrect.
While I was in trial, while I was at trial.
While he was at trial, while there was an order of protection out against him, she was alleging that he was making phone calls to her, like numerous phone calls in like the hundreds of phones, right? So his lawyer at the time subpoenaed his phone records. As you're going through the phone records, you could clearly see that there is a patterning where she would dial out to a number that would mask the original caller and make it appear as though Lupe was calling her.
It's called
There are
spoof.
several apps. The one that we found her on is called Spoof. There are several applications on your phone that could do this for free right now. A judge is looking at these forensic records and there's proof in the patterning. His clerks are telling him, oh, yeah, this happens all the time. So if you look at her phone, like any other iPhone, it would show that he's calling her. But if you look at the timestamps of the forensic record, the only one that's making an outgoing call is her, to make it look like she is calling herself. And it would show you the masked number that she's trying to disguise her phone number as in the forensic phone records. So you have a judge who finds that she's doing this with forensic documents in his hand. No charges?
Wait. Okay, so what is the judge's response when this happens? Were they just like, okay, cool, thank y'all for letting us know, next? Or
No, well, in this case, I had just went to trial because of her. And right after my trial is when she sent this over to them. When we looked at it, you could tell that the times that the phone calls were coming in, I were literally sitting in front of the judge in my trial. So it couldn't have been me, but she used this to violate my pre-trial because I was on a GPS going to trial for her. That violates me because I'm not supposed to have any contact with her. But that's how easy it is. The no contact order, all someone has to say, well, period, he called my phone. There's a warrant out for my arrest, and now I'm arrested until my trial.
what? Wait, so you had to spend time in jail over a lie of just her saying that there were.
I'm gonna take it a step further.
It's a question because it's just this sounds insane. That
I'll take it a step further. She set her house on fire one night, went to a hotel, played dumb, and told the officers that I set the house on fire in Montgomery County. Now listen, it gets worse. She had 40 minutes before this so-called house fire, she had literally tried to run me over in my mother's yard with her car. So I'm at home. We call the police. The police are at my house. So now, the very next day, the sheriff's department surrounds the house, locked me up for arson. I was charged with arson in Montgomery County. They dropped my charges because what? The police were at my house when the fire was started. The police can vouch for where I was at. But that's it. Just drop the charges.
She's not held accountable for anything.
there's no
There is no recourse.
So before we get fully into that part of it, I do want to ask, like, Dawn and Taylor, what I want to say, we understand what Lupe you're going through from what you're saying. I mean, fully, no one's gonna have the full grasp of what you went through besides yourself. But for like Dawn and Taylor, what was it like for you all experiencing this? Because to a point you can't really do anything, but you still are dealing with it at the same time.
Taylor.
At first, I'll be honest, it's terrifying because you buy to this idea of law and order, and then you start to learn there is no order to law. Some people it doesn't. Some people are immune to it. And so you kind of start to find out these very scary things in real time. Like, I think a lot of people are coming into the realization of in the 2026 of things. That is an abbreviated way to describe what I experienced. So I'll let my mom talk about her experience.
So for me, initially, I was operating off of emotion. Anybody that knows me and most mothers, you come for my kids, I'm taking you out. But I had to realize with her, she had a dark mind. And so I knew that going at her in the physical sense is probably what she wanted, right? Because if she could tie me or my daughter into the system too, you got all three of us. And she made statements to my son saying, oh, like, I'm pulling everybody in. I'm going to destroy each and every one of them, and I'm going to make you watch, right? And so that actually helped me because it made me become strategic and flip the script. And so from a certain point on, everything was about gaining as much information as we possibly could, holding the courts accountable, and pretty much using her work against her, because that's ultimately what did her in, was her own words, her own movements, and we just kept everything in chronological order, to be honest. Yep.
So you all had to, as a family, be you all's own advocates, because it seems like the court
For
system was
sure.
throwing it
For
away like,
sure.
who cares?
That's why we
Wow.
do the work now.
Wow.
That's exactly why we do the work. Because it was the unthinkable. Who would ever believe anything like this could happen? And every step of the way, you're constantly saying, it's no way. It's no way that this is really happening. It's a way.
Yeah. I mean, you would think like listening to it, it's a way that I'm sure some viewers are gonna think, okay, how could this happen like that? But as you are telling it, it's one of those things like, who could even make this up? Like who could literally write this story and make it up at all? I want to also ask you all, how much did this cost? This sounds like a whole bunch of court going back and forth to court,
Everything.
having monitoring systems, because in Maryland you have to pay for your own monitoring system. It's not a court provided. What was that like?
Of course, my son lost his, employment, right? Because she's filing multiple charges. And at the time he worked around young people, so he couldn't work around young people. You're in and out of jail. So, what are you going to do? Continue to tell people, well, I can't come to work tomorrow because I'm locked up. So let me just say this. It cost everything, right? And so, he was charged in 3 jurisdictions: DC, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County. He was on a GPS monitor in DC and Montgomery County at the same time. And we were paying 3 attorneys in 3 different jurisdictions at the same time over a 4.5-year period. And so to say it cost everything, I'm not ashamed to say this, because this to me was a testament of God in our lives. The day that the person was finally convicted of the crimes, right? And not even the crime that you would think, but the day that she was convicted of the crime that she committed by a jury, my house was going up for auction that same day at the same courthouse. And I'm still in my house. Amen.
Amen to that. Wait, so you had to like be at risk of losing your own home. Wow. And then so you said this happened throughout the span of like 4 years then, basically.
It was
You
like
all would-
4.5
It was
years.
almost
Four-
5 years.
Wow. My gosh. So fast forwarding it to, how were you proven innocent of all this? Because it seems like all this mountain of just cases and everything, it seems hard to me that this could even like, that you would be able to kind of fight this. How did you all fight this to be able to prove your innocence?
It'll take 2 days to really tell that whole story, but I'm gonna break it down. Number one, I'm gonna say maybe 2 years into this, she was being represented by the House of Ruth. She told her advocate, which was her attorney, that everything was made up, that everything pretty much was a lie. She knew that I forgot the exact story, but it had something to do with them taking her kids or something like that. It was something like, it was outrageous. But she said this to her lawyer, and her lawyer decided to write a writ to withdraw representation from her. Now, all I know is I got the actual letter, and this is right before my trial.
Mhm.
So I tried to keep it quiet, and then when I go to trial, I showed the judge the letter.
Mhm.
The judge sealed the letter, sent me to trial, let her testify against me.
Mhm.
Then after the trial, I don't know if you remember this, Mom, I was charged for breaking in her car at her job and stealing the letter while I had 2 GPSs on.
Hold up. Cause I thought that this was gonna like come to like a nice peaceful resolution in the end. So you're telling me, after having the lawyer leave, the lawyer say, I'm done, you're lying, or you told me that you're lying, you're talking about you having a copy of the letter, presenting it to the judge, and the judge basically was like, who cares? Like,
Mhm.
let's still have a trial?
Literally ripped the letter up
And sealed it.
and sealed it.
So,
So
can,
can you
Luckily,
explain
I
that
had
part?
copies.
can I just put a pin, like a note in that part of it? Because I'll
do.
say, Carlos, now you have 3 instances of officers of the court knowing this lady is lying and doing nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
3, it's not 3 regular people on the street that heard her say, girl, I lied. No, babe. These are 3 officers of the court who took an oath, right?
Mhm.
That's what I want to say.
And I want to add to that.
Please do.
Once we had that experience, then it was just like we just started going hard. Like we were like, okay, enough, right? And so then we came back into Prince George's County. We ended up holding the state's attorney's office's feet to the fire. They ended up getting, well, they had already gotten a flag, an administrative flag put on her, so she could not file any charges anymore in Prince George's County. And then so she goes in Montgomery County and files yet another charge, right? But I say all of that to say, we presented the state's attorney's office in Prince George's County with the information, like everything showing that she's a liar. These are staged events. She continues to come to him, and that is not the behavior of a victim. And
Yeah,
so
not to
because
mention, hold on. Go ahead, Mom. I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
because we were able to do that, we gained favor on the Prince George's County side with the state's attorney's office. And now you can go ahead and say what you want to say.
I was going to say, while I was on GPS
Mhm.
in Upper Marlboro, most of my charges literally happened either on my mom's street or my grandmother's street. While she was in a witness protection program in
Mhm.
Gaithersburg.
Mhm.
So why are you in Upper Marlboro by my house if you're so scared of me? And every charge that I was getting in between these court dates and stuff, like, because it had to be at least 15, 16 of these regular, just random charges. Everything's happening in front of my house.
So, what? First of all, if anyone deserved to be in witness protection, it was you because of what she was putting you through. Like this, what? So, when you all say that the documents were sealed, can you explain that for the viewers who may not know that terminology? What does that mean when they sealed the documents and things?
So when it's sealed, that is the judge's way of putting an order out that this document is to disappear. It is never to be brought before anyone again, but we don't care. We brought that document out every
Every
single
time I
time.
went to court, I showed the judge, whatever
That's
judge it
right.
was,
And it made
this
a
is
difference.
it. It made a difference.
No, definitely. That kind of goes to because I watched some of the bill hearing that you all had, and I know that one of the questions was around like or there being some type of like perjury charges or things that you can do. Did that affect you all from being able to sue for false imprisonment, perjury, things like that? Did that affect you all at all?
Well, so I'll say this. We didn't get to the part where she actually came back on my street and staged a whole nother event. And she literally hit my son with her car and then ended up getting arrested on the scene. And once she got arrested on the scene, she was charged with multiple felonies. She was released from jail and she went straight to the commissioner's office and filed cross charges on my son because she knows the game, right? So we had to go through my son starting out with him being the victim, him being hit by a car, but he's now charged. She's charged. And the crazy thing is, we had video footage that they weren't aware of. We also had a witness that we didn't even know that nobody was aware of. And when all of those things were brought into the state's attorney's office, and I should add that we got Lupe, a victim's rights advocate at this point, right? And so when all of these things came into play, now we're understanding how the game works, right? And so we brought all of those things to the table, and then they dropped the charges against my son and left all the charges on her. And then she was tried twice. She had 2 jury trials. The second trial, she was convicted in 22 minutes. And the judge didn't even let her go home for await sentencing. The judge took her right away. She had to stay in jail straight off of the conviction. And so at that point, she's going to jail. So she's going to jail. What are we suing her for? Because she's just not able to make any money.
Yeah.
But what I would say to that is that she's not going to jail because of her false allegations against Lupe. She's going to jail for the commission of a violent crime within 100 yards of his
Basically
home.
attempted murder.
Correct. An egregious violent offense. But for years, you being enabled actually by the justice system to even commit that violent offense because you were never properly identified as the predator you are. You victimized this family for years because you knew you could. You knew that the criminal justice system would enable you. You know that taxpayer dollars are poured into programs of this nature. And as I said before, 3 law officials knew of your perjury and did nothing.
That's just the 3 we know that we've
Correct.
talked about. There's
Correct.
probably 25, to
Correct.
be honest. I'm not even
Wow. So with that, actually, Taylor, this next question is for you. Do you see it as the court system, and you know how you always have judges, elected officials talk about how like we're here for victims, we're here to support them. Do you feel like they kind of pick and choose who to consider a victim, and then for other people who are actually victims, like you all's family, that they kind of look at you all and say, well, you're not really victims because you have this woman here who's making this claim?
I don't think it's any secret that, especially in this country, victims look a certain way until proven otherwise, right? But it takes a long time and a lot of evidence. And to your earlier question, a lot of documentation to prove who true victims are. And as I said, my brother was never recognized as the victim that he actually was in the moment. And I don't believe him to be a victim anymore. What I will say is we know that victims have to fit a particular mold in this country. There is a prison industrial complex in the United States of America that in the trillions of dollars profits off of people who look like you, me, and him being a part of the system, whether it's on a GPS monitoring that you're paying for, whether it's by virtue of you not being able to afford proper legal representation. They monetize off of the fact that you are poor, you are of color, and you don't have access to adequate resources. So yes, I absolutely think that in most cases, you have to fit the mold of a victim.
Oh, I'll say Dawn, Lupe, you want to add to that at all?
You want to add more?
I'll just say this. That's the reason why we fight. And that's the reason why we advocate and support other families that find themselves in that situation. Because I will tell you, we truly learned how to navigate the system. We learned what to ask for, who to hold accountable. When it's times when they see us coming in the courtroom, you'll see that courtroom run real different because we're there because they know we know. And so we appreciate being that person to those families because we didn't have that until real late in the process. And we're grateful for the people that did stick with us, but initially nobody did. I'll say something else. When it comes to issues like this and cases like this, families need to show up for their family member. Do not send your loved one in that courtroom by themselves, because that's where all of the injustice happens. There's nobody there to take note, right? So again, like I said, that's the point of this bill. This bill is just to level out the playing field, make sure that everybody's life has value. And we want to make sure that our loved ones are humanized. That's it. No one should be able to walk into a commissioner's office and say, Carlos spit on me. You know that's assault, right, Carlos? You know I could get you locked up for that.
So
Well,
that's a weapon right there. That's a weapon. So, like, not trying to be funny, the same female that did this to me, she's still doing it. There's somebody in Baltimore right now going through the same thing from the same female, the same exact female, from the same exact story she used on me.
while she's currently
No,
incarcerated.
she's not
She's
currently
out. Yeah.
incarcerated anymore. She came home early.
What?
And I want to say something else because I don't think we addressed this enough.
Mhm.
So she really should have been charged with attempted murder. They dropped that felony down to a second-degree assault because of the fact that he's a Black man and she's female. And they did not think that
And they said I
could
ain't stay in the hospital long enough.
Right. They didn't think that the higher charge would stick. And so I want to give kudos to the judge that tried this case, that stood over this case that heard this case, I should say, Judge Northrop, because he was so respectful. He ran that courtroom exactly the way that a courtroom should be run. He paid attention to each and everything. And when all was said and done, and she was finally convicted, when we got to sentencing, what he said to her, I mean, it was almost a validation that we have been looking for all this time, because even though he was so respectful in what he said, he was spot on. He was spot on. This is your character. I watched you through 2 trials. I observed your behavior myself. And the state recommended that she get 3 years and serve 18 months. He gave her 10 years, suspend 5 for good behavior, and she would have to complete the remainder of the 10 years if she violated. So she did not stay in jail as long as we would have liked her to be, but she is still on paper at this moment. Thank you.
And
Wow.
she's still doing it, though. She's still doing it.
not
On
my
paper,
problem.
she's still doing it. That's my problem.
Yeah,
Like
and
the fact that she's still comfortable doing it. She's never been charged for it.
yeah, and that
So
was
it's
actually
easy.
gonna be.
She
Go
know
ahead.
for a fact. She knows for a fact she can go just press charges and it's going to either be the charges are going to stick or it's just not going to stick. But she's not going to get in trouble. So what she'll do is go to another jurisdiction. So if she goes to Baltimore City and Baltimore City doesn't let her do it, she say, okay, who's sweet enough to do it? I'll go to Baltimore County.
Yep.
Baltimore County's gonna put the warrant out. I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, but that's what she would do to me. She would try to do it in PG. If PG didn't move fast enough, she'll go to Montgomery County, knowing they're gonna come straight and just get me.
Wow. So do you believe the reason that she continues to do this, well, not just her, but malicious people who do this in general, do you believe that they're doing this and for her specifically because she was never charged of this? So for her, it's like she never really was held to any consequence for this specific action, so she feels the freedom to continue to do it.
Absolutely.
It's just like a kid in school who just decides to punch everybody when they feel like getting mad, and nothing happens to them. She's not punching; she's just going to file charges. It's still a punch. You still gonna feel it.
No, you're right. And then so wow, I'm
It's
sorry.
weaponizing the system.
Yeah. And it's just hard to just imagine someone being this like malicious as a person to use the legal system and the legal system to be used in such a way because you always hear that. Well, one, we already know the legal system treats black men just horrible, but on top of that, to see that people can use the legal system in this specific type of way. And we do hear a lot of victim rights advocates talk about how we should believe women and all that. And I'm definitely not going to say don't, but I think there also needs to be a definite space about women and just men in general or just people in general, because I'm sure you also have men who do this as well, of taking advantage of a system to be able to become predators to people as well. Because in my mind, you could also have someone who did not have the mental fortitude that you all had as a family, especially you, Lupe, to actually fight this. I'm sure some people who would have just said, look, I'll just accept a charge and go to jail for it and just call it a day.
I don't know the real percentages of it, but I'll give it 95% of them do.
Most people take a plea.
Take the plea deal because
They
the thing
wear
with me,
them down.
they would literally offer me a plea deal for no jail time because I did so much time on house arrest. You take the plea deal, but I wouldn't do it because now I have a record. I've never had a record before.
And that is the goal. That is
Yes.
the point, to make you property. And the whole thing is they bank on, like you said, you don't have the resources. How are you going to represent yourself? You don't have community. You don't have nobody in the courtroom fighting for you, advocating for you. You don't have anybody that can be there to speak to your character. They bank on you not knowing how to humanize yourself and understanding the law to make it work in your favor. It's a game.
Definitely.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we get so much pushback on this bill. They know they're wrong. It makes no sense. Anytime you have actual commissioners testifying in front of the legislators yesterday that they are not competent to do this work, that they are not qualified to do this work. They're telling you this. But yet you still want to argue that this is a safe space and this is the proper way to move forward. Let's talk about the fact that Maryland is one of the only states in the country that has this practice with the commissioner's office. It makes no sense at all. You can't tell me you believe in justice and you want to do the right thing and you continue to practice in this manner. You can't tell me that.
To your
So we
earlier
have to.
point, Carlos, I think that it absolutely overwhelmingly impacts Black men and men of color far more than other demographics.
Mhm.
But we've seen in hearings for ourselves, it doesn't only impact Black men. It doesn't only impact the underserved or poverty-stricken folks. There are well-to-do lawyers who don't look like us that have been in court testifying to this exact same thing. And to the point that you made, there is no singular identity of what it means to be a victim of this system, whether it's a domestic violence victim or otherwise. There are same-sex partnerships where there are victims on one or both sides where things just go awry. There are domestic partnerships that are not romantic partnerships where it might be family members and there's violence there. There is no prescription for what it looks like to be a victim of anything. And I think that's the part that we often lose. To your earlier earlier question, like, there's no reason why, with law enforcement knowing that this lady perjured herself and has made years of attempts to literally ruin his life and admittedly ruin the lives of his family, there's no consequence until she commits a violent crime. She shouldn't have even had access to him to commit a violent crime.
That's right.
Exactly. Wow. So now that, well, you can't even say now that she's currently in jail because she's not. But after you were proven not guilty, all this. So has all this been cleared, or what are some of the ramifications that you all are still dealing with from this?
I can't find a job to let me stay at all. I always get laid off or sent home because of something popping up on my background that I never had until this situation. Now, the good thing is I did get everything expunged, but with my fingerprints or something when they come back, I can't get a job working pretty much anywhere for real. Like I had a job for a week and I always get escorted off because of something that came back on my background. Now, when they go look at my background, there's nothing there. It does say that something has happened, but I've never been convicted. Yeah, like I've never been convicted and my record is clear now, but like I said, can't get a job. PTSD, like crazy. Like I used to not be able to sleep. Once everything was over with, everybody was like, "Oh, I know you're happy now." I wasn't. I wasn't. I was tired. I was
That
tired.
is
I feel
so
like I
true.
got like I don't even know how to explain. Like my body was shutting down and everything. Like
You
I
know
couldn't
what's so
even walk.
funny is that we talk about this all the time. So the day that she got convicted, like we worked so much and we pulled almost the whole state's attorney's office in. All of them came downstairs to hear the verdict or what have you. We were all holding hands praying and the verdict gets read and everybody's like, hooray, like everything erupted in the courtroom, right? And so everybody was like, we're going to go out to eat. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So we were like, okay, well, we're going to go home and change clothes. Knocked out sleep, pretty much
Couldn't believe it.
paralyzed for 2 weeks.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's a lot of not just emotional, mental wear on you all.
Mhm,
That's physical too. Like it turns
mhm.
into physical because you are
It does.
literally, it's psychological too, where it's like you know that you didn't do something, but it's so many people in such a powerful system telling you that you did. It starts to like make you and just people around you question yourself to say like, well, I know I didn't do it. How are y'all telling me I did? And then yeah.
You want to know
Man,
the even more ironic part to what my brother was talking about in terms of like not being able to maintain employment? There's no programs for you if you're acquitted.
no programs. And I was gonna say that. Like, okay, if I would have went to jail, right? And I would have just took the plea deal, I could have came home and got to 1 million programs. I can't do that now. I'm not a felon. I don't have a so you know what I mean? I'm stuck just having to wing it.
So you should
Be-
Wait, what?
on your life
And
because
it's crazy because we never think about that. Like no one ever thinks about what happens to people
correct.
once they are acquitted and they have to go through. But also, I just have never even thought about how like there even being programs or helping people get jobs, helping people deal with stuff that, like you said, is not on your record officially, but it's something that people can see. Hey, something happened. And you're right, there are no programs. There's no kind of assistance. And it's kind of like people look at it probably and say, well, you're acquitted. You should be happy now. Like that should be it.
Exactly.
That's
That's how
pretty
they
much
look
what
at everything
Exactly.
the whole time. Oh, okay, well,
Figure
either
it
good
in,
luck.
out. We ruined your life, but figure it out.
you're
So,
not in jail.
oh my gosh. And then you can't even like live your life once you're out too. Like you can't.
No,
Oh
because
my.
the whole time I've been in the house, my name is going around because she's coming into this area telling people that she's my baby mother, that she's my child's mother. I don't have any kids, by the way, but she's my child's mother and I beat her up. So I'm in the house for 5 years. I can't say anything to anybody. So everybody's running around thinking that I'm just a woman beater. You know what I mean? And up until once they found out that she was convicted of it, then everybody's like, "Oh, my bad." The people that know me know for a fact that I wasn't going there. With it. Like everybody knew, like this is just crazy. But other people who don't really know me, of course, they gonna be thinking because she's literally telling these people and crying at the same time that oh my God, this is my boyfriend and he beats me up. And it's like, now, you know what I mean? So even till this day, I be walking around. I don't even like to be seen for real like that. Like it is what it is now, but it definitely affected me. I'm not going to lie, but I think in some good ways though.
Really? How so?
Because I don't like going places no more. So I used to be out and about and all that. I don't even do that no more. I don't want to bump into her. Nothing like. Mm-mm.
Damn.
And honestly, it helped. Now the work that I do now, the organization, the stuff that me and my mom and my sister do, I love doing this. I don't think I would be doing this if I didn't go through that situation.
Really?
Right. I
Can
know
you all
for
talk about you all's organization, and did the organization come out of what you all dealt with here?
yes,
For sure.
for sure.
I mean, like I said, and like I think all three of us agree that as we were going through this month by month, year by year, we were in shock the whole time. No way. They can't do this. They won't do this again. We have all the proof in the world. They have everything they need. Again, like Lupe said, year 2, you had a writ to withdraw representation because she perjured herself. And it even goes into stating that she falsely represented, she lied to authorities, she interfered with an investigation, like all of those
Misled the
things
police
is
investigation.
yeah. And when an attorney files a writ to withdraw, they can't just say, I want to withdraw. A judge has to look at this and make a decision. It has to go up before a judge. So that's a judge acknowledging as well that this is grounds for you to separate yourself from the person that you were representing because she lied, right? Why were we still going through this 2.5 years later, right? So we learned in the process what to ask for, what to go for, what not to accept, how to represent, how to hold the state's attorney's office accountable. One funny thing is that my son will tell you, I used to go up to that state's attorney's office like I worked in that building to the point where I would hit that 3rd floor and different
They
people would
start running
cut corners. No, we're getting away. We don't even feel
out of
like
here.
having this conversation with her, holding them accountable. How are you letting this happen? So, I think that's the thing for us. We were like, Lord, if you get us out of this, we will dedicate our lives to helping others because we didn't want anybody else to have to go through what we went through, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And can you talk about how you all are helping people who are going through the same situation or different situations within the legal system? So Dawn, can you please tell us like how are you all using just what you all went through and you all's trauma and also but knowledge that you all gained through going through this? How are you all using this to help out people now?
The knowledge is mind blowing. I will tell you that, right? And so coming out of it, we just started going to I connected with Progressive Maryland. Then we ended up, to be quite frank, we started doing some work with Life After Release. And with them, we ended up we started with their participatory defense model, right? And so we learned how to deal with the courts, some laws and stuff that applied to some of the things that we went through. And then we ended up going out on our own. And the whole time, ever since my son got out of his situation, people would come to us. This just happened to me. Can you help me navigate? Or I don't know what to do. And families whose loved ones were already incarcerated. And we just started doing the work. We just started doing the work, sitting side by side with the families, helping to empower them, letting them know this is unacceptable, going with them to meet with their attorneys, whether it be a public defender or a private attorney, holding the attorneys accountable, creating the social bio packets. So when they go in front of a judge, the judge sees them as a human as opposed to a number or just another NIGGA. And we just started providing support. We started working on legislation in 2021. We did work on Leobor, use of force, MPIA, all the cannabis work. We were part of that with the ACLU, right? And then here we are. We worked on the Cannabis Reinvestment Act, and now we're here working on HB 336 to make sure that other people that find themselves in a similar situation to my son, there's lines drawn, no more. Right. And so pretty much, like I said, we still deal with clients, and I don't even want to call them clients. We deal with families. Like we probably get at least 3 families reach out a week.
I was about to say a week, easy.
Yeah.
Gosh, so this is
And
like
I want to say this is a great thing. Out of all of the individuals that we worked with, if we really worked on their case from beginning to end, only one person has returned back into the system in 4
wow.
years. Only one person. So
That's
I think we have a
amazing.
pretty solid success rate. And the other thing that we do is work with youth. One of the things that my daughter had brainstormed that I never thought would be as big as it was the listening sessions. We do those. We worked very closely with the former chief of police, which you helped us in some of our volunteer work with Chief Aziz and working with the youth. We do a whole lot of work, provide food, counseling, listening sessions, court. I don't necessarily call it court watch, but I guess that's what it is. We usually just go and, work with families. And a lot of times their loved one is incarcerated and we work to bring their loved ones home. And then we work on legislation as well.
That's amazing. Are you all seeing from the families that you're working with, are these mostly family members who don't, or just people in general who don't have either the support system or just the knowledge or know-how, or feel kind of like they're people who feel as if they are alone in this fight, and you all are really helping people just navigate and learn how to deal with this?
Every single time without fail. And they're like our family now. They won't go away.
That's amazing.
I'm just joking.
No,
but I mean,
it's
we love them and they love us. And
Of
you know,
course.
that's a powerful feeling, to be totally honest. Like it's I hate to say it almost makes you think, okay, you ask God why. We did that. I did that a million times. Why? Why us? Why us? Why my child? But sometimes you have to go through hell to know that this is your purpose. I don't know if the impact had not been that hard for us, if we would be as deep into it and as obligated and, everything as we are now. But when you go through something like that, you understand what another family is going through. And so our job is to make it so that you're not alone. But we do require you to put in work.
Definitely.
Our job is to empower you, not to do everything for you.
Wow. So what's been, and kind of as we're wrapping up here, what's been the responses you all are hearing from this bill from when you all first introduced it to now? Talk about like the support you all are getting from different just organizations, elected officials, community members, things like that.
A lot of positive response.
Yeah, I was surprised.
A lot of positive response. So one of the things that is amazing is, and I didn't even know this until yesterday, actually the day before yesterday, because we ended up having a Zoom, is that we have the Attorney General's office working hand in hand with the State's Attorney's office, working hand in hand with the Public Defender's
Public
office,
defenders.
working hand in hand with the ACLU of Maryland, working hand in hand with advocates. So, and I did not know that they never come together on bills, right? I
No.
had no idea. So that in and of itself tells you this is a real issue that needs to be addressed. We need to get this done this year because this is our third year going up to Annapolis to get this, situation resolved, and it needs to be addressed. Every year that's gone by, I wish we could get the data to show how many people have been negatively impacted since we first presented this bill. And actually, this bill is a no-brainer, to be honest.
This seems like simple legislation. Is this, so one more question about the bill. Would this bill only cover like harassment, sexual related claims, or would this cover any kind of false
Anything.
False
charges?
statements.
Oh,
Any
wow.
and all.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. And last question, wrapping up here too, is and this is for all three of you all.
Well-
What would justice look like for you all, for what you have been through, for yourself, Lupe, for what you've been through, for just what your family has been through, everything?
I
For
don't
me,
even want to answer that question.
justice. So we'll never have full justice. Let's be very clear. You can't give us back our years. You can't give us back the trauma. All of that was an experience, right? But what I will say is that for me, a full circle moment would be this bill coming to pass, like this bill happening and us knowing that we can look at people and say, he didn't have to go through that. She didn't have to go through that. Look at what we did. Right? It's amazing to me that this is even a question. I cannot believe we have to fight for this, right? I can't believe that these laws have been put in place all of this time and nobody has checked any boxes and said, wait a minute, what is this? This is insane, right? But like Taylor said earlier, it's a master plan behind it, right?
And that makes you think of what other laws are messed up like this, though, that are just tweaked up the way as though it can just keep us in the system.
That's what justice would look like for me. Justice would look like our people unifying and teaching each other, educating one another, because we gonna have to shake the table. It's a whole lot of laws that need to be look up under the rug, figure out what's going on. Are there new laws that need to be enacted? Do new bills need to be passed, amendments, so on and so forth? Because so much of it, especially in the United States of America, so much of it is rooted in what you look like. Turn on the news. Turn
You're right.
on whatever. It is all correct. A capitalist industrial complex, and every single law that is antithetical to what we're proposing into our bill, and things like it contribute to that complex, right? Contribute to that capitalist structure. So what justice looks like for me is, little by little, day by day, we as a people start to figure out what table we gonna turn over today.
I love that. I love that. And I told you all last question, you all made me think of another one. What do you have to say to the legislators who are considering this and maybe feeling scared that they don't want to piss off the like House of Ruth people and the domestic violence advocate people? What do you all have to say to them?
Your silence makes you complicit.
And I would say to the legislators, it's your job to do the right thing. It is your job to protect innocent Marylanders. So do your job. Plain and simple. We're not asking you to protect killers or rapists or abusers. That's not what we're asking you to do. What happened to my son is a form of domestic violence. So if you're a domestic violence advocate, hello?
Wow.
Come on. That's what we want. And what I will also say is, for any of your viewers, please follow this bill. We need eyes on Annapolis. We as a community need to start paying attention to what our lawmakers are doing or not doing. Please. This bill is very important and very necessary.
Knowingly pursuing false allegations undermines the injustices done to real victims. That's number one. Number two, from a legal standpoint, due process requires symmetry on both sides of the law. So if you're going to prosecute him for his crimes, if we got here by virtue of her crimes, due process requires her prosecution. And her can be interchangeable. Him, her, they, all the things, whomever it is. Okay? That's it. That's my 2 cents.
What about you, Lupe?
Repeat that question again.
Yep. What would you say to legislators who may be concerned about supporting this legislation because they don't want to piss off the domestic violence advocates or like people like the House of Ruth, things of that nature?
Number one, it could be them.
Mm-hmm.
It could really be them. The same thing can happen to one of them that happened to me easily. One of them House of Ruth advocates can say that one of them did something to them. And guess what? They gonna have to see about it. You know what I mean? So I do know that I ain't gonna say the House of Ruth. A lot of these advocates are not really advocating. They're really there there's a check into this. Like, there's money involved in this. If they feel like I look like I could go to jail for this, or if I don't look smart enough to fight this fight, go ahead and do it. Like, you might as well. That's what it is, though. So I really feel like that it's a money grab, number one. I feel like that the legislators, it could be either one of them or their child or cousin, brother, or somebody, one of their loved ones can go do the same thing. So just think about it.
Wow.
Can I add one thing?
Please
For
do.
the record, multiple legislators in the Maryland legislation have been falsely charged and have
Wow.
fought similar cases. Yes. Maybe not as extreme as my son, but yes, there are many of them who have gone through a circumstance where they were falsely charged. So I think that they know. I also know that when it comes to going through the court system, there's grant money involved, and you have to show that these cases are going through your system in order for you to qualify. So even in our current status right now, legislators are asking for data. Well, domestic violence advocates, they get grants all day long. They have to provide data to get grants, right? They haven't produced any data.
Wow. You all, thank y'all for this. This is insightful, but it's stark, and it's sad that you all had to go through this, and it's sad that we have a system set up like this. Can you please tell the viewers, one, any final thoughts you all have, but also how people can stay involved with you all, with your organization, how people can stay involved with the legislation as well?
Mom?
I mean, I just said the bill is HB 336. Please follow the bill. Hopefully, we'll be going to subcommittee soon. We can share any updates that come out of this, and we really would love people to pay attention, follow what's going on in Annapolis, because we need to show up. We really, really do as a culture. We need to show up because these laws affect every single one of us. And one of my kids can give you information on our organization.
Yep, you can stay in touch with us by filling out a contact card at thejustusinitiative.org. THEJUSTUS initiative.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'll put in all the links and everything that they talked about will be in the show notes for you all and in the description on YouTube. You all, thank you so much. And remember, this is a podcast, so please like, share, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and we will be back next week with our next full episode. Again, Dawn, Taylor, Lupe, thank you all so much for just entrusting our space with this powerful conversation.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for
Thank y'all.
everything you do.
Of course. I do this so I can just amplify the voices of all the hard work that you all do. Awesome. Thank y'all.